Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Conscious Shift Network, where new ideas are taking root for a changing world. My name is Tracy Kern, and I will be your navigator today as we venture down the rabbit hole of possibility with Sherilyn Shelton. Hi, Sherilyn.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. I was going to say thanks for tuning in today, but you've already tuned in. You showed up.
In more ways than one.
Big time. Let me read here because I don't always remember these. Sherilyn has been a business owner and entrepreneur for over 25 years. She is a leading social media interpreter for business professionals. In using her creativity and business experience, she connects the dots and eliminates the confusion of who, what, why, when, and how of using social media for business. Thanks again for joining.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
You know, I can't memorize these things.
No.
One of the reasons that I wanted you to be here today was to talk about social media. But another reason that I wanted Sherilyn to come and join us is because she has been a master at consciously shifting life and being the shift and the change in life that propels you upward, onward, and forward to help motivate people, to help people see they can really make a difference. And then one final thing, because I'm talking all over you, but I always find it very interesting that in today's society, we have TV, we have social media, we have internet, and people are like, oh, that so much is desensitizing us. But then I meet someone like you who reminds me that we have the ability to make whatever we do on social media, whatever we do on TV, whatever we do online, we have a way to consciously shift the world.
We do.
We really do. So thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So you started out as a realtor.
Well, actually, even before that, I owned a travel agency for 20 years. Built it from nothing and sold that. And then from there, had a real estate brokerage for 5 years before I got into the speaking in the social media world.
There you go. I want to go on vacation soon. Maybe I should talk to you.
No, it's been...
Not at all. Right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I didn't see that in any of your information.
Well, and it's interesting because travel and social media are a lot alike. It changes as often as the weather.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So as I was reading your information, I noticed that you took at it was the Buffini Mastermind Conference in San Francisco, where you met Jack Canfield.
For the second time.
For the second time?
For the second time. For the first time, I met him in 1984, and I was just starting my business, and I went to see him speak before he was famous for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And saw him speak on a conference called Self-Esteem and Peak Performance. And that was my first shift, and then ran into him again in 2006. And so the universe has a way of bringing people in and out of your lives when you're ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. Fractal, they call it fractal time.
That's right.
You know. When I was reading the information about you, you had taken, saw that you had done like 3, maybe 4 courses with Jack?
I actually took 2 years with him.
Wow.
Those 3 courses took 2 years of very intense personal training to become a life coach and mentor as mastermind facilitator. So again, the universe opened the doors for me in '84. When I met him in 2006, I just waited. He was speaking at a Buffini Mastermind Conference. There were 6,000 people in attendance, and I just waited. He was, signing books afterwards, and I waited, and all I wanted to do was just say thank you for making a difference in my life, because certainly he couldn't remember, But anyway, that shifted everything. And so when I waited afterwards to speak to him, he then invited me to his conferences, which then put me in his coaching program, which totally shifted my whole life.
Can we talk about that?
Sure.
You had taken how many courses, or it had been how long in the 2-year process until he finally stood you up in front of the crowd?
Oh,
I knew she was wondering which one was she talking about.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest key in shifting your lives is learning to say yes no matter what. And so when Jack taught me that, pushing past fear and saying yes, that was January 11th, 2008. So I was almost 2 years from the time we had reconnected again until he pushed me out of the nest.
Do you want to talk about that?
I will share that story.
Because when I'm reading that story this morning, and I'm sitting and I'm having breakfast and I'm ready for the video, and I don't wear makeup very often, but I put makeup on to be on video, and I sit at the table and I start crying, and I have to go to the bathroom and redo all my makeup because it was so powerful. I
appreciate that.
It was amazing, because that's...
Well, and I think everybody has a story. But my story, I was in this mastermind group. So we went from level 1, level 2, level 3. And once I got into level 3, there was from 400 people, we went to 150. And from 150, we went to 40. So these 40 people were pretty powerful business owners, executives, millionaires, CEOs. And I was there, quote, as a CEO of a real estate brokerage. And I thought I was going for the real estate program and the business coaching. Of course, God does have a sense of humor, doesn't he?
We always think we're going for one thing.
Yes.
Otherwise we wouldn't be able to show up. Right?
That's right. That's right. So anyway, we were teaching one day, and we were out in San Diego and in a conference room. And what we did is 4 days of intensive teaching. And so you knew these 40 people pretty well. But at that time, I think sometimes we always have this mask we put into the public face, which is different than what's behind your mask. And they were talking about the difference between tolerating and allowing. And I didn't get it. And I leaned next door to the person that was sitting next to me, and I said, I don't get it. It seemed to me tolerating and allowing was the same. And he was very much focused on The Secret, because Jack was in The Secret. So he was taking some of the things from the movie The Secret and the law of attraction. And I didn't realize it, but Jack was standing right behind me. And he taps me on the shoulder and he says, come on up. And I went, don't want to do this.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you've been seeing all these people, and you know what happens when you get up.
Yes. So he pulled me in front of these 40 people who by now you love dearly. These are your confidants, your friends. But at also that time, I was also very aware of who I was and who I wanted people to see, and what you allow people to see versus what you don't. So he stands me in front. We're in a U shape, and he stands me in the middle. And I'm wearing a corporate suit, and I happen to be quite tall, and I always wear heels. So I was well over 6 feet tall. So at that time, Jack could stand behind me, and people could not see him for me. So he's standing behind me, and he has both hands on my shoulders, and he's whispering in my ear, and I'm dying a million deaths, really. And so I'm standing there, and he says, don't move, don't say a word. And I'm thinking, don't worry. Because really what I want is the floor to open up and to be swallowed.
Yes.
Because now I'm vulnerable. Because I'm now standing in front of my people that are my peers, but I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know what to expect. So Jack again is whispering in my ear quietly, don't move, don't say a word. And I'm going, please God, just let me die now. Right?
Yeah, I get it.
Because nobody wants to be pushed that far out of their comfort zone. So he says to the group of the others, he says, tell me what you see. And then I really panicked because I'm now under the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
So now I have all of these people who I've spent 18 months with, making sure they only saw what I wanted them to see.
Yeah, no longer the mirror has been pulled away.
Right. And no preparation. You're in complete vulnerability. So I'm just going, please God, let me die. Please God, let me die. And Jack is standing there very calmly saying, "It's okay, don't say a word." And the floor doesn't open up. I'm still standing there.
Yeah, don't worry, I ain't gonna say a word.
Right. So I don't believe in coincidences. I believe there's God little miracles that he doesn't take credit for. And this happened to be one of those times. So he goes around the room and asks these 40 people, 39 other people, what they see. Now, most people see based on the package, right? So they're looking at me and base that package. One of them says, "Well, I see a very successful CEO that's built several companies and bought and sold them." And one says, "Well, I see the possibility of being a doctor." And another one says, "Well, I see a possibility. She used to be a model." And everybody makes their assumptions based on what they see on the package. And then one smartass says, "Well, I think she just married the doctor and took life easy." You know, just everybody makes their judgments, right?
Right.
So this seemed like it took forever, and it probably took 5 minutes, but it seemed like it took forever. And in the meantime, I hear what people are saying, but I also am melting on the inside. For the first time in 52 years, I don't have control of my situation. I have Jack standing behind me trying to keep me calm. I'm shaking like a leaf, and everybody is giving me their feedback of what they see. None of it really negative. They were all kind and loving. But for the first time in my life, the tears started to come down my cheeks, and I couldn't stop it. And then I was really upset with myself because I realized that I was losing control, right? Because we all think we need to control things instead of allowing the higher power to control things. And so as those tears started to melt, people started looking at me like I was wearing 3 horns or 3 heads or whatever. And then Jack says to me very quietly, "Tell them who you see, and tell them who you are." And I can't speak, which is really ironic for a public speaker, right? But anyway, again, he says in my ears, "Tell them who you are." And now I've heard 39 very positive things that you would love to be, right? And in a very quiet, broken voice, for the first time in my life at 52, I tell these people who I see. And I tell them I'm an unwed mother on welfare at 17. And that shifted the whole room, because then everybody joined in my shift, in my feeling of love. And there wasn't then a dry eye in the house, because that's the baggage I had carried for all those years. Because when I was the unwed mother in high school, my father said to me, "Well, go apply for welfare. That's what I pay my taxes for." And so since that day, I had spent all those years trying to protect anybody from seeing who that might be. And I felt flawed. I felt less than. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have all of these things that other people thought that I was, because I had been very careful about making sure that mask was there. So once my perfect mask fell, it crumbled in a big way. So then after we had this huge shift and this epiphany and this outpouring of love, and for the first time for me publicly just sobbing because the dam had broke, Jack then came to the side of me and he said, "That's the difference between tolerating and allowing, is you have to allow people to have whatever opinion they have of you. Doesn't mean you have to tolerate it." Big shift.
Huge.
Big shift. So that was a life-changing day for me. And then he said to me, "If you could do anything in the world, what would you do?" And for some unknown reason, honestly, with no thought, coming strictly from heart, I said I would heal the walking wounded.
You would.
Heal the walking wounded, because I feel like we all are
We're
walking.
all walking wounded
Right.
in some way.
Exactly. And so that's my purpose, is I do teach social media and I do teach businesses how to make that work for them, but always with that spiritual background. There's somebody in my audience that will be attracted to me that I'll be able to help. So it's kind of a win-win.
Well, yeah. So often in life, we keep burying it. And we bury it, and we bury it a little bit more, and we're like, brush that off, shake it off, it's okay, it's not.
Or we think we're less than and we're not.
Right, because of what somebody said or what something happened, or here you were 52 years old still living the life of a 17-year-old.
That's right. That's
and
right.
it's like when we can actually get to that place where we look at it and we take away the mirror, we take away the shame, we take away the shoulds or the shouldn'ts, and we embrace it.
And drop the mask.
And drop the mask. That's some scary stuff.
Yeah, it takes courage.
It does take courage.
But living in authenticity is so much more joyful than living for somebody else's expectations.
I agree. Oh my God, yeah. You know, the thing is, people don't realize how painful it is to live behind the mask. We're starting to see that more and more every day, I think, as society as a whole, and we see what we're living with. So that's why I conscious shift. That's why I do the magazine. That's why I wanted you on. What a beautiful example of conscious shifting. So tell us about your social media. Tell us how we can find you. And one thing I'd like to say is that for people watching this, it is highly powerful to put your business in the hands of someone who is willing to say, I'm not perfect. I used to be this. I see who I am. And this is what we can do for you. For someone who will heal the walking wounded, and we all are a bit walking wounded. We all have something. So how do we reach you? How do we get in touch with you for the social media, get in touch with you for the life coaching? Because you did mention that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thanks for asking. So we all have a message. And we all have a purpose for existence. I strongly believe that. And even when we shift, it's a lifetime journey. So that's something that's really important. And so in this lifetime journey, the world of social media brings us teachers and allows us to teach as well. So I tell people the opportunity is you have the world's largest trade show. And if you start thinking of your social media as $1 million piece of real estate, and what do you want to do with that? Then it shifts, again, everything that you think. So the funny thing is I am a highly spiritual person with a sense of humor that people tell me I'm the most irreverent, reverent person they've ever met. And I think God has a sense of humor. So social media is a way I do that.
I mean, interrupt. Are you kidding me? God has the biggest sense of humor.
Yeah.
He invented humor.
I agree.
Oh my God.
So I use social media for that reason.
Awesome.
But I think the shift in thinking again about social media is it's the most important thing you need if you're going to be in any kind of business at all. But learning how to use it smart is the most important key to using it. But it opens up the world. I've built relationships all over the world with people that I've never met face to face. I have a team of 6 people that I've worked as experts that believe in me so much that they're flying here to do a conference in November in Tampa.
What did you call it? Your team of...
The Power of 6.
The Power of 6, yes.
Because I make 7, and 7 is the magical spiritual number, right?
Ooh, you said goosebumps.
Yeah. So socialmediavisionaries.tv. You can find me everywhere on social media. All you have to do is type in Charlene Shelton.
American Express. Oh, Charlene Shelton. Everywhere you want to go. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but it's. I want people to understand social media is ROR. It's the return on relationships, not ROI. So it's important for your business. I don't teach it as a slam sell. I teach it as here's your tools to build relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. And if you were even remotely touched by Charlene's story today, make it a point to connect with her, because we are sitting with one of the great shifters of our time who is making a beautiful footprint. What is it called? A beautiful virtual footprint on
That's
the
right.
world.
That's
In
right.
a very amazing way.
Thank you. Thank you.
for coming
I
today.
am grateful.
Namaste. Thank
I'm
you.
grateful.